Hello, I'm CJ Willerman, and in this episode, we reveal Israel's endgame in the Middle East. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. Drunk on its own power, the Zionist regime is now saying the quiet parts out loud, in confessing to what it has long tried to keep a secret. Its determined intent to annex and incorporate much of the Middle East under the Zionist flag, otherwise known as the Greater Israel Project. Israel's expansionist goals were spelt out in black and white print in this article published by the Jerusalem Post on the 29th of September, in which the author claimed that the land promised to God to the children of Israel includes parts of modern-day Israel, the occupied Palestinian territories, along with Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and even Turkey. The article states that the Torah provides clear guidelines regarding the areas we were commanded to conquer when taking possession of the land, and that the biblical boundaries stretch from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates River in Iraq. Needless to say, the article created a firestorm in the Arab world, causing the Jerusalem Post to backpedal and remove the piece from its website. But make no mistake, the current annihilation of Gaza and the West Bank, along with the bombardment and occupation of southern Lebanon, is guided by the Zionist goal to establish a greater Israel on stolen Arab lands. This is the manifestation of Jewish supremacy, or the misguided belief that Jewish religious texts justify and demand colonization of the Middle East, a goal that Israeli leaders of the past have been cagey about confessing. But Netanyahu let the proverbial cat out of the bag at the United Nations on the 22nd September last year, when he held up a map of Israel that included stolen Palestinian land.
But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia.
Last week, Israel's Minister of Finance told a European television network that Israel intends to expand its border to the Syrian capital, saying the Zionist colonial enterprise will expand little by little until it eventually encompasses Palestine, Jordan. Now that you have seen that, you can never again be fooled into thinking the destruction of Gaza and Lebanon has anything to do with October 7th. And nor can you be duped into believing Israel is the victim. His words make it undeniably clear that Israel is the aggressor, murderer, occupier, and thief. He's basically admitting Zionist war crimes are not committed in the name of self-defense, but in service of a twisted expansionist ambition, a goal that has been in place since the end of the First World War. In fact, the roots of Greater Israel trace back to the Jewish Torah, in which God promised Abraham land from the Nile River in Egypt to the Euphrates River in Iraq. This religious claim is being used by Zionists to justify expansion into neighboring Arab countries, presenting it as part of Israel's divine plan. Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism, outlined the idea of a greater Israel on page 711 of his 1898 diary, in which he envisions a Jewish state that would stretch far beyond Palestine and into parts of Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan, forcing Arab populations to live under Jewish rule, therefore making Israel indistinguishable from ISIS, a terrorist group that cleanses religious minorities. Israel stated its criminal objectives at a number of international conferences throughout the 20th century, including the 1919 Paris Peace Conference, where Zionists first presented a map of Greater Israel, leaving nobody confused about the Zionist movement's long-term goal of expanding into Arab lands. In 1947, a Jewish rabbi declared in his testimony to the United Nations Special Committee of Inquiry that the so-called Jewish Promised Land extends from the river of Egypt up to the Euphrates and including Syria and Lebanon. His statement was codified and published in 1982 in a document known as the Enon Plan, which outlines a strategy to divide and conquer Arab countries. The author of the Enon Plan, Odin Enon, was an advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. His strategy was built upon analyzing the weaknesses of Arab states by identifying what he perceived to be flaws in their respective national and social structures. He concluded that Israel should aim to bring about the fragmentation of the Arab world into a mosaic of ethnic and sectarian groupings. This plan came to life, as acknowledged by the United States General Wesley Clark, who was the Supreme Commander of NATO forces during the Kosovo War. He admitted he was presented the Enon Plan by officials within the Bush administration shortly after the 9/11 attacks.
I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, you remember that? He said, sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you.
I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
I'm not going to give you his name.
As you can see, the Enon Plan is not just a piece of paper, but an active strategy to conquer Arab lands and extract their resources. It's then impossible to deny that the Greater Israel Project not only fueled Israel's invasion and occupation of the Palestinian territories in 1967, but also motivated decades of American imperialist exploits in the Middle East, which have unleashed violence, chaos, and instability throughout the Arab world. The Enon Plan is also why Gaza is almost completely wiped out, and why Lebanon is currently under attack from the Zionist military regime. Now think about this for a moment. The Greater Israel Project was a primary driver of the US invasion and occupation of Iraq. We know this because Israel publicly begged the Bush administration to topple Saddam, a move that resulted in the deaths of more than 4 million people during the 2 decades that followed.
No question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. And there is no question that once he acquires it, history shifts immediately.
The only logical conclusion anyone can make is that the Zionist state is the single greatest cause of instability and violence in the Middle East, and that there can be no peace in the region while the Zionist ideology persists. Now let me finish with this, that based on the millions of views and tens of thousands of comments our program attracts each month, we know our effort is helping move the needle against Israel and in favor of Palestine and Lebanon among American and European audiences. But this effort is made possible only because of the help we receive from those who support us via Patreon. Therefore, we kindly ask that you please join them in supporting our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We offer exclusive content and benefits to those who do. But for now, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.